Alright, so this is a phase converter. I've had this since 2019, I think. It's a PT355. And the line caps, it's getting a line cap fail error, which basically just shuts the box off without any warning. So it's a little annoying when you're trying to set up blade stuff. So there are these 4 line caps back there. Kind of hard to see. And they are supposed to smooth out electrical noise of some sort before they get to the rest of the circuit, I guess. And they go bad, and they go bad really fast in this converter, and it's a little frustrating because the older converters apparently rarely needed these things changed, and the newer ones don't even need them changed because they're a different style filter smoothing. So yeah, these are considered legacy phase converters now, so that's pretty neat. And if you follow the channel very long, you know my history with this box has not been that pleasant. So anyways, enough complaining. We gotta pull those ones out. They're kind of difficult to get to, and then solder on the new resistors, because Phase Perfect believes that their 4 capacitors are worth $200 to purchase. Which is really cool. If you want the bracket added, you can't even get the bracket. I actually don't know what the bracket's for. But basically, for a PT355, they're, for 4 of these, $200. And you can get them from Surplus Center for $5. They just don't come with the right cap to screw the terminals on and the resistor. But that's fine, because I have a soldering iron. This is what the old ones look like, so I kept them around. These are the original ones. So they have these little brackets that are soldered onto the terminals, and then a resistor. So what I did for this original order that I had, because I ordered 8 of these, is got those in, desoldered these guys, and put them on the old ones. But I think what I'm going to do is, that took a really long time to desolder all that solder. So I think what I'm going to do is figure out how to attach the wires to just the normal plugs, instead of having to screw them on, because that's super frustrating, and then just solder the resistor on, because that'll be a lot quicker. I mean, it took like an hour to do this last time, and I don't want to have to do this. I have to do this every 6 months, so anyways, let's get on to pulling the old ones. First, we take a picture, because that's always a good idea. Oh yeah, make sure the capacitors are discharged before you do this. The unit's been off for like 12 hours, so I'm sure the capacitors are discharged at this point. But if I die, at least you all can witness it, or whoever watches this footage can. The way they have these things secured in here is kind of silly. Not sure if you can see, but there's little screw holes to the left and right of the caps back there, and they're literally just sheet metal screws that are holding the sides of it. I think I remember you have to take these, the main bracket that holds this stuff, the main circuit boards on, and I think I remember you gotta loosen them up to move the thing out of the way, so you actually have room to slide the capacitors out. this, the ribbon cables. Be very gentle with them. What else? I think that's about all that's really in your way. Very hip, very cool. Get yourself one of these mini ratchets. Work really good. I've used this countless times. Alright, now that we spent 15 minutes getting those eight screws off, we can pull these caps. Alright, this is one that I bought aftermarket and then resoldered the bracket on this thing. So we're gonna see if we can just use the basic lugs on here instead of having to go through all that, because that sucked. And yeah, not the worst job ever, but it's not easy to do when you suck at soldering. So, all right, I'm gonna take the rest out and then we'll work on figuring out how to modify the new ones. All right, here's the factory one. Here's one I pulled. Does that end in a T? That's weird. That does end in a T. These numbers are different. 4XSM. And the factory one was 4MPT. I wonder if that's like the post designation, or that's the reason these failed in 6 months. Shouldn't have though, because they're rated exactly the same. Interesting. Alright, so I can't really find a difference between these two, at least label-wise. I will say the ones I bought surplus were made a long time ago, and the ones that came in the converter were somewhat new. But as far as the spade terminals and the height and the profile and everything, it's very close to exactly the same, and the ratings are very close to the same as well. So I wonder, just maybe older capacitors, maybe they go out quicker or something. But anyways. Apparently capacitors have not the longest shelf life for my from my 5 minutes of Googling, but they can be reformed. But I don't really want to do that. So I'm just going to install them and not run them very hard for a little while. That's probably why this first for that 8 batch I bought probably went bad quicker than the factory ones, because they're old. So yeah, I don't know. This whole phase converter business is super frustrating though. I didn't know my meter had this function, but it does have an actual, like, the microfarad test functionality. So here's one of the new ones. Try to do this with 2 hands. One hand? What is with leads on multimeters not being easy to use with one hand? So it says 41 microfarads, and this is listed for 40. So that seems pretty close to 40. So I'm gonna call that good. So I'm gonna test all of them. And then I'm still kind of figuring out this mount thing. I feel like I'm gonna have to desolder these and do that to these ones, just because I don't see a non-hacky way to hook the wires back up to these. So might as well do it right, I guess. So those all tested good. I was curious about the old ones. They have a resistor spanning the gap, so this probably influences the test. But they also read within their rated range, and these are the old ones, so I kind of wonder what causes them, the phase converter, to say they're bad. So I'm gonna do a little more research, but I'm sure there's something more than just it shows its proper rating. So I have the original ones from when they first failed, like after a year. So I'm actually going to try running these and see if the phase converter fails again. Because I would like to figure out what this thing is actually doing instead of just continuously throwing parts at it. So I'm going to install these and run it and see what happens. Alright. I got the caps installed back in. I left some of the mounting screws out because they're a pain to get to, and this thing isn't exactly being transported. I'll put them back in. If this thing needs to get moved to a junkyard maybe. Wow, look at that, it works. Alright, cool. So yeah, that's one of the things I've been dealing with. If you're looking at getting a phase converter of some sort for your home shop, maybe consider getting a rotary phase converter. I've heard the new version of Phase Perfects have been having some sort of radio frequency issue, like emitting radio frequency. And apparently this generation also had radio frequency issues, because sometimes when I turn the speakers on and off, they'll make a pop sound when the phase converter is on. And if the phase converter is not on, the speakers will not pop. So that's a very interesting thing. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.